Hey, perfect spirit. I'm Sam, and they call me the Miracle Man. Now, let's create that miracle, that transformation in your life right here, right now. That simply requires to get rid of all this head trash. All that noise that says you're not good enough, not worthy, all this stuff that's creating stress, anxiety, panic attacks. We need to get rid of that. So I was figuring, with Halloween coming up here in a week, less than a week, I thought it'd be an interesting topic to talk about is the paranormal. To realize when we really look at it that there is nothing that is paranormal. Paranormal is simply something the mind cannot explain. It's beyond the normal everyday routines, if you will. Like ghost hunting, all this kind of stuff is, to the mind, it's paranormal. But to spirit, it's nothing. Because everything is possible to spirit. The mind can't explain it, but the spirit being that is us, that perfect spirit, that soul, that consciousness, all things are possible. If all things are possible, then there can't be anything outside the norm, the paranormal. The paranormal only exists when you're in a state of separation, believing that spirit and mind are separate. They're not. We're ultimately spiritual beings having a spiritual experience within a human body. So, from the relative looking at things, the mind lives in separation. Oh, this doesn't make any sense to me. How can this be? This chair just moved. These lights just flickered on and off. I hear footsteps and I can't see anyone. To the mind, that's paranormal. But to the world of spirit, it's like, no, it's a spirit being spirit. Because all things are possible to spirit. But it's definitely a different way of looking at things because we're always living in a state of separation, forgetting that we are spiritual beings, that we are soul, consciousness, spirit, source, energy, whatever you wish to call it. We are that, or beyond all those labels. That's all it is just labels. Like in truth, there is no miracles. The definition of miracle is something that doesn't follow the natural and scientific laws. From the mind, there's miracles. But from the place of spirit, all things are possible. If all things are possible, then either everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. But to see that everything is possible. I healed myself when I let go of the stories that was creating this separation. And when I knew myself as spirit, soul, consciousness, just not an intellectual knowing, but an actual deep knowing, I am that. I'm not my noise. I'm not my head trash. So we like to overcomplicate things. That's what the mind loves to do. It loves to overcomplicate things. And especially for people in the spiritual path, they really like to overcomplicate things. They start adding routines, rituals that are just adding more noise. Oh, I have to sit a certain way. I have to hold my posture a certain way. I have to breathe a certain way. I need these crystals. I need these attunements. And the list keeps going and going and going. But all we need to really do is just strip it all away and just remember, we are spirit, we are soul, we are consciousness, we are energy. But most of us are on a journey outside of ourselves, thinking the answer's out there. But always the answer's within us. And if we're a place of stillness, then that wisdom can rise up from that stillness. So just take a breath and really feel that breath coming into the body. And just to relax. And just really tap into your perfect spirit. That you just simply need to relax. I'm really not a big fan of the word meditation because meditation implies rules. At least it did for me. If you told me to meditate when I was very sick, I probably would have walked away from you, saying that's too difficult. I can't do that. I'm not sitting in those postures. Well, I couldn't sit in those postures. I was dealing with MS, needed a cane to walk, and getting on the ground and sitting cross-legged wasn't something I could do. And plus, I wasn't a big fan of rules. He told me I had to sit there, hold my hands a certain way, breathe a certain way. Not for me. However, when I read that meditation brings inner peace, I'm like, yes, I need that. But I never followed any of these meditation rules. I simply sat there. And then I learned that I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. If I wasn't my thoughts, then who was I? Perfect spirit, soul, consciousness, source, energy, whatever you wish to call it. But we get into all these rules, all these labels. We need to strip it all down to realize nothing's paranormal. In truth, there's no miracles because we're spiritual beings. If you look at the level of spirit, then all things are possible. If all things are not possible, then you're in the mind. I talked about this the other day. There are some true limitations. Humans can't fly. Can't change that. Someone's missing a limb. We can't regrow another one. We can't leap over tall buildings. We can't walk on water. We can't run 1,000 miles a minute. Now, there are some physical limitations, but most mental limitations are completely mental. They're not the truth. So we're just sitting here, relaxing, coming back into this moment. And we can do this wherever we are. If you're in a line, you're driving, listening to music. When you're listening to music, just notice the spaces between the notes. To realize there would be no music if there was no space. It would just be a buzzsaw of noise. And this mind is a buzzsaw of noise. But underneath of it is the peace, the silence that is the real us. So we just have to realize we're living in two worlds, if you could say, the relative world of the mind and the world of spirit. And we need to find that middle balance. We just can't be a completely spiritual being because we do inhabit this human body. So we have a responsibility to give the body rest, water, food, health treatment if needed, medicine if needed, to bring that body back into balance. But it all begins with knowing our recipe from this deeper place within us, out of the stillness, out of the quietness. This wisdom rises up, and this wisdom comes from the collective consciousness, or the consciousness of oneness. The mind does not live in oneness, it lives in separation, judging and criticizing each other, battling each other, when essentially we're the same energy, just different flavors of the same energy. The energy that's in this mouse is within me. The energy within this pen is within me. And the quantum field, the level of particles, is this consciousness, this divine intelligence. That there are no mistakes and there's no good or bad experiences. It's just an experience, and mistakes are simply feedback to try a different way. But the mind loves the complexity. We need to let go of the complexity and just be here to the best of our ability. What do I hear? I'm sitting, I'm walking. There's a Zen saying that's coming to me. Before awakening, chop wood, carry water. After awakening, chop wood, carry water. that life essentially does not change before and after awakening. You're just more present to this moment and know exactly what's going on. You're not lost in the stories, but our human chores remain because that's our responsibility to take care of this one body. We cannot order another body. This is it. So take good care of yourself. Let go of the judgment, the criticism that's creating all this stress, worry, anxiety that's not supportive to the body. It will make the body sick and it will depart quickly if you're too stressed out like I was. But our spirit energy remains and was here way before you were born. All right, well, take good care of yourself. Talk soon.